Yeah, it's been quite a ride so far this season on Bucco Banter. It's been great working with Fred.
This is fun. Matt has turned into a real pro. He's the best and so young and so full of energy.
Fred is amazing. He's so giving as an actor. He really isn't even a Pirates fan at all. It's quite the performance.
At first, I didn't even want to be on the same set as Matt. He's a little arrogant and sometimes he smells like cabbage.
Fred has an amazing grasp of English, which is surprising because it's not actually his native language. And he grunts a lot.
Sometimes the Matt cabbage smell is so overpowering. It makes me stumble and lose my train of thought.
I've noticed that the set smells like cabbage, and Fred has a tendency to sweat a lot.
Matt has no faith in the Pirates. So off camera, we often argue it, and one time we even got into a shoving wrestling match. I'm passionate about the Pirates.
I've had to carry this show for a while now, and it can be quite exhausting. But the ratings have improved, and I think we'll be picked up for another season.
Being the lead star on a hit internet show is demanding, yes, but I believe the hard work I put into it shows. I just wish everyone on the set had my work ethic.
Don't tell him.
Don't tell him.
But I secretly despise working with Fred.
despise working with Matt.
People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a warm-hearted person who loved me till the end. People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a one-boy, cuddly toy, my up, my down, my pride and joy. People, let me tell you about him. He's so much fun. Whether we're talking man to man or whether we're talking son to son, 'cause he's my best friend. Yeah, he's my best friend. La la, ba da 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 ya, ba da 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 ba, ba da 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 ya, ba da 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 dee bo bo bye, rubba dee bo dee bo bye, rubba dee bo dee bo bye.
Hi, welcome again to Bucco Banter. I am Fred Rossano, and joining me again is
Now Matt Peaslee.
Matt. We were hoping after the last time we had Bucco Banter to be discussing maybe Pirates going on a win streak.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, well, they are on a win streak. They're in a one-game winning streak.
And we lost 7 straight leading up to that. Things really just went down south rather quickly for the Pirates in the past week and a half. A lot of things kind of played into that. Poor play really all around the diamond. People are starting to cool off. Pedro Alvarez has just been pitiful at the plate, and they're trotting him out there, moving him over to first base, seeing if that can help him. But his bat in the lineup is taken away, too. It's not just his glove anymore. It's his poor performance at the plate. If he's going to be our power hitter, he hasn't had a home run since July 11th, and he doesn't seem to be turning the corner at all.
I think of a lot. Basically every facet of the game for the Pirates has somehow had a meltdown within that 7-game losing streak.
Yeah.
I mean, they had. You were counting on Worley and Liriano, and they had probably their worst
starts
two
of the
games.
seasons back-to-back.
Yeah, back-to-back. The defense, especially that Sunday game against the Nationals, was just... I very rarely get mad at games, but I was outwardly screaming at the TV in some of those plays. But just, go back a couple more games. In that particular game, it was Melanson that had blown the lead in the 9th inning, and before that was Watson blowing the lead in the 8th inning the game
that
before.
Saturday game. Yeah, the bullpen's struggles have continued all year. Nothing's really solidifying it back there. They acquired John Axford, who He's maybe made two appearances, pretty solid for us, even though he stunk it up with the Indians earlier this year. But maybe he can help solidify the back end of the bullpen a little bit better than they have been in the past couple weeks. They finally get rid of Ernesto Frieri, so maybe this guy can step in and fill a better role. But the injuries, too, have really played a key part. Injuries to Andrew McCutchen, Neil Walker's been out of the lineup. Jordy Mercer was suffering through some injuries, missed a couple of games. Yeah, he
sort of came up. In fact, if you had to look at your MVPs after Harrison, McCutchen,
Mercer's, this is Russell
Martin, and then you would have to put Mercer in there because no one expected him to do what he was doing.
This is a career year for him, too.
And as soon as he went out, that sort of threw the Jason Nixes back in, and the Martinez's and the Brent Morrell.
They had no business being on this team as they're trying to make a playoff push.
There'll be trivia questions down the road sometime.
Yeah. I saw that the Pirates took their official team photo like a couple days ago with Michael Martinez, Brent Morrell in this team photo. Like, you never would have expected them to be part of the team at the beginning of the year, and they were here in the stretch run for...
you can look at it from several different aspects of it, but you can't... coaches like to say next man up or whatever, and Hurdle says that too. But once you get to a certain point, you're talking about starters here, not just a borderline starters or whatever. You're talking about starters are coming out of the lineup for an extended period of time, off and on with Walker, with McCutchen, Mercer out for a week, then with Alvarez with the problems he's had. You can't take 4 out of your starting 8 position players and expect them. And plus, Barmas was injured.
He's still
injured. And you just can't replace those guys. Man, you can't. Eventually, it catches up to you.
They're replacing them with not even just major league bench players. They're replacing them with minor league replacements,
waiver players.
Yeah, like these, and their struggles obviously showed because they weren't performing at all. There was a streak I saw that Brent Morrell, Jason Nix, and Michael Martinez were like 0 for 38 at the plate during a stretch run there. You can't have that on your team when you're pushing for the playoffs. But maybe they're finally starting to turn a corner. McCutchen's back in the lineup. Garrett Cole's back in the rotation. He had a solid outing.
Yes, he did.
But the schedule upcoming is not going to be favorable to the Pirates at all. They're playing 15 straight against Central Division opponents.
The pirate ship is either going to sink or swim over the next week or so.
Rocky waters there.
Especially, that's what makes baseball great. Though you expect them. I'm sure that 90% of the fans going into Milwaukee are thinking, "Man, this is going to be bad."
Yeah, it's always.
But you never know what's going to. Who knows? Maybe they'll sweep them. You never know what's going to happen. Any series, home or away, you never know what's about to come out. Like I just said with the Liriano and Worley, you didn't expect them to have
you got to hope
2 horrible games in a row.
Hope that they can bounce back from that because they have pitched a lot better than that this year. But they just got tattooed so early in those games, and the Pirates just couldn't dig out of those holes against the Braves. And we ended up losing those, and then take a nice win in the 9th inning to break the streak. Handed to us with that error or the pitching pass ball in the 8th inning, but able to put something together there. And even the Upton brothers were running into each other that allowed Marte to advance. So
on the brighter side, like Travis Snyder is really
he's got to be the best player off the bench, and he's been having to make starts with Cutchout, and they're even starting to put Snyder in place of Polanco because he's been struggling.
And you can't believe but Polanco's 20. We've said it before. He's 22-year-old. You never know what to expect. He's going to have his problems. But Snyder, they always say, and he's failed on a couple of other occasions. Maybe he's finally found his groove there or whatever. But he's seized the opportunity when he's gotten into that lineup in left field and right field, and he's gone with it. He's probably been their most potent player in the lineup for the past several weeks or whatever. But we'll see what happens. Big series coming up. Several series.
Milwaukee Cardinals. I think Milwaukee Cardinals, Reds. It's all and then September's not going to be any easier because we only have 9 home games and they don't play very well on the road.
When you look at it, they lost to the Nationals. They lost to the 2 out of 3 to the Braves. But when it comes down to it, you have to beat
the good teams.
You have to beat the good teams, but you have to beat the teams in your own division, and they play them a ton. And it doesn't look good at this point, but at the same time. It's something they have to do. Either they're going to sink or swim, like I said. But we'll find out. And next time on Bucco Banter, we'll see what happens.
Stay tuned for our next segment, Bucco Banter Show and Tell.
And now it's time for Bucco Banter, Show and Tell. And Matt, what do you have for us today?
Well, let's take a look in my cup here. It looks like it's Honus Wagner. Fred, this was the bobblehead they gave out at PNC Park a couple weeks ago. Kind of a nice surprise because they usually give out the bobbleheads on the weekends, but they gave it out on a Tuesday, and kind of nice to honor one of our legends. I mean, you were alive for when he played, right?
No. It is a nice little bobblehead, though.
I think he looks like...
Does his bat come off?
Yeah, bat comes off there. Nice, yeah. I think he almost looks like John Goodman, except a little bit skinnier. But it's a nice Honus Wagner bobblehead, and it'll add to my collection.
Very nice, very nice.
Ask the experts! Ask the experts! Ask the experts! Ask the experts! Well, Fred, let's get our questions out because it's time for Bucco Banter, Ask the Experts.
Well, Matt, I have some very distressing news for you. The Bucco Banter question hat has been pirated.
Oh.
In its replacement, we will be using the Pirate Panda.
Okay, he's got the questions right there in his mouth. Let's take.
Oh, be careful.
Got it.
I'm going to get
Thank
the
you,
rest
Panda.
of these.
Thanks, Panda. All right, you ready, Fred? Do you think if the Pirates would have acquired John Lester or David Price, they would have a better record? This is sent in from Kevin of Mingo Junction via Twitter.
Well, obviously, if you think John Lester and David Price are both great pitchers,
Yeah.
I think what the question is getting at is nothing's for sure. And even if you look at I think they were I saw somewhere where the Pirates' record since over the last 19 games, or since Lester was acquired, is like 8-11, and the record of the
Oakland
Athletics is 8-12.
Yeah.
Since they acquired Lester, you can look at it. Obviously, Lester and David Price are both great pitchers, but it doesn't guarantee you victories or anything like that. I guess the Athletics that originally acquired, they got Samardzija, now Lester, because they were all ready to go into the playoffs to play the Tigers because they had gotten beaten by the Tigers 2 straight years. There are no guarantees. Yes, they are going to help out their team obviously because they're good pitchers, but there are no guarantees. And look what happened with the Tigers.
They've had their
price has been fairly good. Although I think he had a so-so performance, but they've got injuries now too to Verlander and who's the other one?
Scherzer. No,
Sanchez.
Anibal Sanchez, yeah. And then these starting pitchers, they're only pitching once every 5 days, so they have no control over what happens the other 4.
Sure, it looks good, but no guarantees in baseball.
Yep. Number 2 for you, Fred. What does the future hold for Pedro Alvarez? Is there a future for Pedro in Pittsburgh? Sent in by Pizza Man of Steubenville.
Man, if you would have asked that question 6 months ago, you would have heard no way the Pirates should trade Alvarez, even though there was that thought of him wanting such an outrageous contract with Scott Burrows as his agent that he was going to get traded before, and they would get a load of prospects in return. Now you're forced to not even trade him.
Yeah, you just gotta, because who wants him? They talk about maybe he could be a prototypical designated hitter at an American League team, but a DH hitting 220 with 15 home runs.
Well, I've said in the past that he reminds me a lot of like an Adam Dunn type player. It's all or nothing. But even now, I just think that it's so much mental in baseball, and I really think he's really taken it to heart. The defense has affected his offense, and he's just. But what do you do with it? The way Clint Hurdle talks? It's almost like they don't have a spot for him. Yeah, he said he's
done at third base.
He's done at third base for the rest of the season. So what do you do with him? No, he hasn't been hitting. You're not going to put him at first base there, pretty much because you're not.
And you already have Gabby and Ike at first base to get playing time.
And you're and because of his fielding, I mean, not that it may not be that bad, But you're still going to be very leery of him playing first base over Ike Davis, who would be a better fielder, and Gabby Sanchez, who would be better. I don't know. I have no idea whether maybe they'll look at the offseason and say, Harrison's our third baseman, and we'll use Gabby Sanchez and Pedro at first base. We'll give him a shot. He'll work out over the winter. We'll do it in spring training, and then we'll go from there. But to get rid of him now, I don't think you can.
You're not going to get anything back.
No. And I know Neil Huntington doesn't want to make a trade for somebody that's going to come back to haunt him.
Right. They don't want to be locked in.
And you trade him, and then he comes back to hit another 36 home runs like he did last year or whatever. We shall see, though.
Yep. 2 for me, Fred.
All right. Question number 1. With a little over a month left in the season, what will be the Pirates' final record? Tiny T of Wintersville.
Oh boy! Well, you asked this question a week and a half ago. We're saying, okay, they're finished. They're going to be 8 games above 500, lock up that wild card spot, maybe have a shot at the division. Now we're wondering if they're out of the playoff picture completely, if they're even going to hold on to a 500 record. I mean, now they're 2-3 games above 500, but with such a brutal schedule coming up,
I don't think the schedule's that brutal. I think
the way they play against the Brewers, the way they play against the Cardinals, I'm nervous.
We'll see if they're up to the task or not. I mean, that's the way it is.
Yeah, if I had to make a prediction, I think at the beginning of the year, I said they'd win 85 games, but just missed a playoff spot. I'm sticking to that. I think it'll be still tough to hang on to that second wild card, but I think they'll finish with 85 wins.
I think I said 87 wins. I'm going to say 84 wins now, and I also think they're just going to miss it. My prediction before was that whoever would win the Eastern Division between the Nationals and the Braves, the other team would be one of the wild cards.
No.
And as far as the West with the Dodgers and Giants, the same thing.
Yeah. Even though the Central's still been like the toughest division in baseball, but there's still other teams.
Yeah, I think they're going to knock each other off, and I don't think the Cardinals are that. I mean, they might be getting back some guys too, but that doesn't guarantee anything again.
Yeah.
All right, the second question.
Final question.
What is the Pirates' fascination with prospects?
Well, it's kind of long been what they build their team around. I mean, look at our team now. All the players are pretty much homegrown, with McCutchen in center field, Jordy Mercer, Neil Walker. Josh Harrison was acquired when he was, I believe, in high single A. So, but the prospects they have now that they're planning for the future, you got Josh Bell and Altoona, Austin Meadows, Reese McGuire, the pitchers, Nick Kingham, Tyler Glasnow. They don't want to get rid of these guys.
Glasnow's really been pitching great the last couple of weeks.
And I mean, those are players that I think we've been, as fans, watching them develop over the past couple of years, and we want to see them in Pittsburgh. Same with Huntington and his staff, and even the players that Rene Gallo signs out of the Dominican Republic. They're homegrown guys that they want to see make an impact, and that's what's been working for the Pirates. They're not going to go out and make a big free agent splash. I mean, the biggest free agent signing really in, let's say, the past 5 years has been Russell Martin, which really at the time wasn't seen as a huge deal. But if the Pirates build from within, that's going to be their bread and butter, and it has been, and that's what's going to keep them a contending team for the next few years. I think if they stick with their
philosophy, and they're going to stick to that. They're not. They may have gone, like we had said earlier, maybe trading one of those top prospects
to get a David Price or a John Lester.
But I don't. Beyond that, I don't think they were willing to give up somebody that, because again, that's what they're programming themselves to do. That's what their philosophy is, and they're going to stick to it. They don't want to deviate from that, because they think that's the best way of.
And it has proven that it is for the Pirates.
People
have
been
best
critical of that, but when you're talking guys 18-year-old like Tyon and stuff, they take time to develop.
Yep. Well, another good round of questions. Thanks, Fred.
Thank you, Matt. And
thank you, Pirate Panda.
Thank you. See you next time on Bucco Banter. So long. I didn't move his mouth for the first couple words, did I? I couldn't get my hand around.
Another excellent episode.
Tune in next time when we'll hear Cousin Lulu say...